Okay, hello, this is Advocate Mehboob. We are discussing Indian Penal Code, and this is, I believe, the fourth session on this. So we are mainly conducting this refresher session on All India Bar Exam. We are looking at section 304 IPC. We had seen it as the last, section in the previous class. So as far as I you know, we were discussing earlier, basically dowry death. Okay, there are three, four elements in that. Number one thing is that there should be a married woman. Number two, she should be married from about a period of 7 years, less than 7 years or 7 years. Let me see what is the exact wording here. Okay, within 7 years. Okay, within 7 years is the time. So number one, she should be a married woman. Number two, the marriage time should be like within 7 years. Third thing is that there should be some proof that she's been subjected to cruelty or harassment. Okay, I am highlighting it here, cruelty or harassment. Three. Number four is that woman should die in abnormal circumstances. So abnormal is single word. I have simplified, but it is written here. Otherwise, then under normal circumstances, if there is a doubt, there is a some kind of what do you say? This thing that this a woman has died under abnormal circumstances, then they can seek the family of family members of that woman can seek a case of dowry death, wherein it is alleged that husband or the husband's relative may have caused the death. Let me go ahead. Let me see what other important sections are there. Okay. Uh, okay. Abatement of suicide is there. Okay. 306 is abatement of suicide. If any person commits suicide, whoever abets the commission of such suicide will be punished with imprisonment of either a term for which may extend to 10 years and also be liable to fine. Basically, abatement we have learned earlier. Abatement means instigation. किसी को चढ़ाना. ओके, प्रॉम्प्टिंग चेयरडम, इंस्टिगेट चेयरडम. तो वो अगर करते हैं तो then those person, any person who goes and does suicide, it is found out that it was done from the harassment or instigation of certain person, then that person may have a jail term up to 10 years, and also fine is there. So there is always and or coming in the law. So here this is jail plus fine. Jail can be up to 10 years. Let's go forward. 307 is a very, very popular section which is called as attempt to murder. So here, whoever does any act with such intention or knowledge and under such circumstances that if he by that act caused death, he would be guilty of murder, shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 10 years and shall also be liable to fine. And if hurt is caused to any person by such act, the offender shall be liable either to imprisonment for life or such a punishment as in here before mentioned. So basically in this, what do you say? If we have learned about murder, we have learned in, I believe, section 299, 300, we have learned about murder and, culpable homicide. So the point is that there is a concept called attempt to murder. That is, the person has not died. If that person, like he's giving, if the person dies, then he will be guilty of murder. I'm highlighting that portion. But the point is, if the person is alive, okay, he is alive, then this may extend to 10 years. Okay, the jail, the punishment for this offense may be extended to 10 years. And if the person is also hurt, okay, the offender shall be liable to imprisonment for life or such a punishment as in here before mentioned. Basically, if the person is also hurt, so attempt to murder is like, there can be two things. Okay. Number one is that the person may die, the person may not die, that is there. But when the person is not dying, the person may get hurt, the person may not get hurt. I'm talking about the victim here. Okay. Not the offender. So here the maximum, sentence is life imprisonment for life. Okay. Ajivan Karavas. Okay. Umar bhar ki saza, Ajivan Karavas. So what is that? If it is found that someone is trying to attempt to murder, or he is found in such a way that the offender is found in such a way that he was trying to murder the other person, that, and actually this has hurt the other person, so the highest punishment is imprisonment for life. See, why is we have, like, 10 years, and imprisonment for life, is there is a difference. Sometimes the person may not be hurt actually, so that is the reason. 307 is very popular. Unfortunately, in India, people go and they are doing, what do you say, FIR shopping. Okay, that would be good phrase. Everyone wants to file FIRs, so that causes issues. And 307 is very popular. Attempts by life convicts. We have seen this earlier in section 302, 303. So if a life convict, a person is already undergoing life imprisonment, Ajivan Karavas, or ma'am, Neeraja ma'am, please tell the Telugu phrase for that, for Ajivan Karavas, for life imprisonment.
Yavajjiva Karagara Shiksha.
I'm sorry.
Yavajjiva Karagara Shiksha.
Is there any simple phrase also? Maybe in TV and films they use simple.
అంతే సార్, అదే ఉంది.
అచ్చా,
అదే
ఓకే.
సినిమాలలో
అదే అది అదే టీవీ ఫిల్మ్లో.
మీరు కూడా తెలుగులో దిట్టే కదా, యావజ్జీవ కారాగార శిక్ష కదా.
యావజ్జీవ కారాగార శిక్ష. యావజ్జీవ కారాగార శిక్ష. Okay, madam. Thank you very much for bringing this. So basically, if a person is already a life convict means someone whose conviction is there. Conviction ante English lo belief. Legal language lo, jargon lo, conviction ante someone who has already been convicted of a crime. A court has found him to be, basically, what do you call? Someone has done some kind of crime and he has been already been given life imprisonment. In that circumstances, again he is doing some kind of wrongful action where he is trying to hurt someone to the extent of murdering them. And if he is caught in that attempt to murder, when any person offending under this section is under sentence of life imprisonment, he may, if hurt, be punished with that. So basically, if you're doing one wrong, there is one punishment. If you're doing the wrong again, then extreme punishment, that is death. There is nothing, no bigger punishment than death in India. Either there is death, there is life imprisonment, there is long-term imprisonment like 10 years or things like that, then short-term imprisonment. Okay, and there can be fine attached with all these. Let's go ahead. Okay, 308. Attempt to commit culpable homicide. Whoever does an act with such intention or knowledge and under circumstances that by that act cause death, he would be guilty of culpable homicide, not amounting murder, shall be punished with imprisonment with either for a term which may extend to 3 years, or with fine, or with both, and if hurt is caused, shall be imprisoned for extend to 7 years, or with both, or with fine. Okay. The point is, we have learned about culpable homicide earlier. Culpable homicide means trying to do certain action on someone where it is assumed that the other person has a risk of dying. Okay, there is a likelihood of death. Okay, if you're doing something, there is a likelihood of death. But the planning is not more deliberate like that of murder. So culpable homicide is a particular person is dying because of some person's action. Okay, one victim is dying because of an offender's action, right? So in that, the thing is that, okay,
it is the same, no?
Someone sorry?
Maybe in 307, it is more of total complete death caused by someone's action. In 308, it is someone is gonna die because of someone's action.
So actually, your doubt is very genuine. The point is that there is a slight difference if you go to section 299 and 300. If you see the kindly see the previous class, I will give a very brief difference here. Culpable homicide means there is a likelihood of causing death. Murder means the person has deliberately tried to do that. So murder is a more stronger offense, more stronger offense. For that reason, there is 302 and 304. 302 is talking about punishment for murder. 304 is talking about punishment for culpable homicide. So now now says 307 and 308 are talking about attempt to murder and attempt to culpable homicide. So culpable homicide is, like, generally speaking, it's not murder. Why it's not murder is that you are not planning and doing all those things. But in culpable homicide, death happens, but it does not happen with the deliberation. There is a likelihood that it will happen. If you read the definition, section 299 and 300, you will find out. Or please check out the yesterday's class which I have shared in the group.
Sure.
Let me go ahead. So here, attempt to commit culpable homicide is, you have done something wrong with someone and that person has survived dying. Okay? So first thing, nothing has happened to him, the attempt was done, then the punishment is up to 3 years jail or fine or with both. And the next thing is, if that person has been hurt, okay, if he's particularly hurt, the jail can be 7 years or with fine or with both. Basically, here the attempt is just about the culpable homicide. Let's go ahead. Okay, 309, attempt to commit suicide. Whoever attempts to commit suicide and does any act towards the commission of such an offense shall be punished with simple imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 year or with fine or with both. The point to be noted is 309. 309 is a very important section. Basically, those people who are frustrated with their life, they go ahead and try to do suicide, right? What are the ways? Popularly, they hang themselves, and they drown themselves, they eat poison, they go and sit before a train, things like that. These are very popular things. But the point is, the original the origin of such frustration is their mental issues. Okay, their mental tensions, their depression, these kind of things are there. So now in the recent years, actually, for your kind information, section 309 has been found to be unconstitutional, if I am recalling the Supreme Court judgment rightly. The point is, Supreme Court has held section 309 as invalid. So right now, people cannot be booked under section 309. What is that? The point is, if someone is what do you say, attempting section what do you say, sir? I'm sorry, someone is, excuse me, just give me a moment please. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, Mohammed Garu.
Thank you so much. So the point is that someone trying to do suicide was supposed to be an offender. It was considered an offense. But in the recent years, I think this happened maybe in last 5-10 years, if I'm recalling it rightly, maybe 10 years back. Please check out that, section 309. Let me parallelly see that also. Section 309 IPC was repealed. Okay, repealed. It was repealed by the Supreme Court. Okay. Let me see which case was that. Okay. 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 I'm not getting that year in which, but it has been decriminalized. Okay. The point is, decriminalized is that it is not a crime now. So the point, as I said, the origin is about the depression. So we should be looking at solving that problem. So now it has been brought humanely into that perspective. It is said that the parliament has passed one more bill recently in 2016-2017. It is called as Mental Health Care Bill 2016. So this has completely, you can say, decriminalized this suicide thing. Originally one case law was there, in Supreme Court. I'm not getting it immediately right now, but that had said that 309 should not be applicable. Very, very similar to that, if you go to section 66A of the IT Act, section 66A of the IT Act, that was also repealed because there were a lot of controversy in that. But later on, the problem is that even after Supreme Court has found it to be not right or unconstitutional or it has removed that as an offense, section 66A of IT Act, that is Information Technology Act. Still people around India, that is mainly the police stations, or the policemen are filing cases on that basis. So that is an issue. uh, for that, see, if some law is repealed by the parliament, I'm sorry, by the Supreme Court, the parliament should come forward and make a new law on that. So this will give good clarity. Okay, so they are not understanding the negation of a particular statutory, rule. That is a problem. Still, if you read an article on Google, you will get that lot of policemen are still doing that, that kind of registration of offenses under section 66A of IT Act. Let's move forward. So 309 is repealed, but sometimes that may be asked. So I'm looking at those which are very important. Okay, so these can be asked of hurting. 319 is talking about hurt. Whoever caused bodily pain, disease, or infirmity to any person is said to cause hurt. Grievous hurt. The following kind of hurt are designated as grievous. Okay, basically hurt means hurting someone. Grievous hurt means hurting strongly, very strongly. Grievous hurt is hurting very strongly. So emasculation, first one means emasculation means for male persons to to remove their what do you say, gender organs is called as emasculation. And next, damaging of one of the eye, damaging of a ear, or breaking of a joint, okay, privation of any member or joint. So that is one of the hands or legs or something is being broken, or it is removed. So next is destruction of any member or joint, that is any joint is being damaged in such a way that it is not working. So next, permanent disfiguration of face, a head or face. Basically, in this world, like, we are judging people by face, and everything is about face only. So people have this tendency to maintain their face and things like that. If there is a damage to the face, it is a big injury to a person. So that is also brought in this rule here, permanent disfiguration of head or face, fracture or dislocation of a bone or tooth. So eighth is any hurt which endangers life, which causes sufferer to during the space of 20 days in severe bodily pain, or to follow his ordinary pursuits. The point is that if a person is hurt so hard that for 20 days he cannot get up from the bed, or he is unable to go to his job, then that will also be considered grievous hurt. So hurt is there, grievous hurt is there. So this is the definition, that what is the intensity of the pain or suffering. Now there are two ways. One is you are doing voluntary causing hurt and voluntarily causing grievous hurt. So now defining that also, whoever does an act with intention of causing hurt to a person with knowledge that this will cause hurt to a person, thereby causes hurt to that person. Okay, so I'm sorry, this is looking like Aki's Park, Parky Shark, so Aki's Park. so basically, someone who is doing hurting someone with the intention. Okay, simple thing about the section is intention of causing hurt. Okay, if someone is having an intention of causing hurt, then that that person will be liable for prosecution for causing hurt. Number two is grievous hurt. Whoever voluntarily causes hurt, if the hurt which he intends to cause is likely to cause his grievous hurt. Okay, again same message, let us take with the words like intends to cause. Okay, so what I do is I make the section very simple for my understanding, for other person's understanding. So there is an intention to cause grievous hurt. Okay, let us go ahead and see punishment for voluntary causing hurt. Okay, punishment for voluntary causing hurt is, which is jail, maybe up to 1 year, or fine. So or fine which may extend to 1000 rupees or with both. So this is a very simple section where hurt is there. The jail can be up to 1 year or fine or 1000 rupees. Very easy to remember, which is very popular. 323 is very popular. Wherever people are having fight on the streets, right, the policeman will take them and they will write down 323. And I think 506 is also there. 506 is about criminal intimidation where people threaten each other that they will do something harm to each other. So 323 very common, easy to remember. It is punishment for causing hurt. Okay, up to 1 year jail or fine or with both. Next, 324. Voluntarily causing hurt by dangerous weapons or means. Whoever, except in the case of, let us see, 334 is a big section coming up. So all the exceptions are also being given. So don't consider 334, don't consider 334, that is being said. Voluntarily causes hurt by instrument of shooting, stabbing, cutting. Okay. If you look at these, shooting, stabbing or cutting or any instrument which is used as a weapon of offense is likely to cause death, or by means of fire or any heated substance, or by means of what is it? Means of any poison or any corrosive substance, or by means of any explosive substance, by means of any substance which is deleterious. Deleterious word basically in English means very destructive to the human body, to inhale, to swallow or receive into blood, shall be punishable for a term up to 3 years or with fine or with both. Basically now again this is talking about hurt only. There are categories of hurt only. Hurt is some pain, some suffering which is of very low magnitude, low intensity. So if it is done with dangerous weapons like knife, okay, knife, you have what are those things? Shooting, stabbing, cutting. Then 324 will be applicable. Next, there might be, this may extend to 3 years or with fine or with both. So why are these, all these, what do you say, khichdi or, all these sections are there, is that there is isolation. There is isolation of each element of an offense. Okay. So let me tell you, let's say your client is there, he has, he or she has done some wrong to someone, he has hurt someone. The other party might put 307 case, that is saying that the what do you say, what is he called as, defense is called as defendant. Defendant is liable to be punished for 307. It is quite possible it can be 324 only. He may have used certain weapon and he might have, yes, he may have hurt him, but that might be 324, not 307. What do you mean by that? In 324, you may ask for low punishment. Okay, the maximum punishment is 3 years or fine or with both. If you can prove only, okay, I don't know how, not to prove that, but the point is that instead of 307, it is proven that it is under 324. The client may get some relief, he may get lesser punishment. And it is saying may extend to 3 years means that it is quite possible if the intensity is so less, the person may also be left off under 324, right? So may extend to 3 years or fine or with both. Because the word or is used here, that's why I'm taking the freedom that the person may also be let off. Next, punishment for voluntary causing. We have seen what is voluntary causing grievous hurt. The punishment is up to 7 years, may extend to 7 years jail and fine. So fine is compulsory there, jail is there and fine is there. There is no, what do you call, choice here. Let's go to 326. Again, voluntary causing grievous hurt by dangerous weapons or means. Here, this punishment may extend to 10 years and also be liable to fine. So what is this? Basically here, grievous hurt is being done. It is done voluntarily and it is done by using dangerous weapons or means. So this is highest intensity wrong, you can say. Here the jail term is up to 10 years and there is fine also. Now 326 is done. 326A, here citation 2 is given. So this is the, I believe, recently added section. If you look at Insertion Act of 2013, if you look at it, this is inserted by Act 13 of 2013. What is this? If you have remember, Nirbhaya case. Let us see who are the participants. Miss Neeraja, can you tell us about the Nirbhaya case? What, if you remember?
No, following. I think it's clear with the sections and all that. So
I am asking you, have you read about the Nirbhaya case which happened in November, December 2012, maybe in Delhi? Are you aware of that case?
Neeraja,
Not Neeraja. Nirbhaya.
nearby case. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, please tell us about that.
Okay. I mean, it's a very famous case that has been last year, which has actually, what do you call, it's a Delhi gang rape and murder case, which was
Yes.
attempted on a lady of 20-year-old, I think. And, you know, they were actually given the death sentence, I think, last year. They
Ji.
were, yeah. So,
Okay, okay, very good. Mr. Rahim, can you tell about the Nirbhaya case?
वही जो दिल्ली में हो सो ना ये
जी जी बोलिए.
दिल्ली में तो रिसेंटली एक 1 ईयर पहले इन लोगों को ये सजा देना, फांसी की सजा देना इन लोगों.
यस, केस बोलिए, पहले केस बोलिए. What was the offense?
हेलो,
केस, जुर्म के बारे में बोलिए. जुर्म क्या हुआ? What was the crime? Please tell about that.
ये निर्भया रेप केस का ना.
अरे सर, उसके डिटेल्स बोलिए सर. केस हुआ क्या था वो तो बोलिए.
वही जो बस में जा रहे सो तो वो टाइम पे हुआ ना ये.
भाई मेरे से सवाल क्यों कर रहे हो भाई? चलो ठीक है. एडवोकेट सफी. Safi is with us. Can you hear us, Safi?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah,
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I think the girl and the boy were fancy. I mean, they got engaged and they have gone to movie, and after that they came back and they were waiting for the any like transportation, and unfortunately they have not got anything. And when they got the bus, due to lack of transportation, they have got into the bus where there are a group of people who were related to same colony and they were also friends. They have brutally raped the women and one by one, and they have also used it. It's widely heard that they have inserted the rod into her private part, and they have very badly like
Injured.
they have beat her very badly. So injured her. So actually they were and it took like more than 4 hours or something like that. The till the time the bus was from where we were traveling, the distance was very less. So what they have did that to get one by one chance. So they have took the bus a number of rounds of the city. So then finally when it was done, they have thrown them out of the bus. Her boyfriend was also along with her. They have beat him very badly. They have hit him, and he was very quiet. They have said that they will kill them. So they have given the threat of life. So finally, when everything was finished, they have thrown them out of the bus, and soon after that, with the help of that local people, they got her into hospital, and where she was suffering very badly. They where again she was shifted to in London or something like that, where hospital, and finally she was brought dead to India.
Okay,
and they were convicted in 376 gang rape.
Very good.
And just before a couple of months.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just before, before a couple of, like there were, I think there were 4 people. Among them, one have committed suicide in the jail due to embarrassment or something like that. And remaining people just before few months, they got the death sentence. They have sent to the gallows.
Amazing, Advocate Safi. Thank you so much. Advocate Safi has good interest in criminal law, and he has been following this case. He has read well on this case. I'm very much thankful for him, towards him or to him, for all the inputs from his side. I just wanted the heinous nature, the harsh, the grave nature of that crime to be brought forth, so that we can realize how women are not safe in India. That is one big issue. And yes, there are certain laws which have been made for women, but I just want to say is like the 2013, criminal law was amended and a lot of sections were added to the Indian Penal Code for the for this reason only, for such big crime. And that's the point I want to put across. This is going to come in a lot of places. You can see wherever you find that amended or added sections inserted by Act 13 of 2013. So these 2013 additions were brought because of that heinous big crime of 2012. But for your information, because you are lawyers now, I want to share one case about one lady from Rajasthan. Her name is Bhamari Devi or Bhanwari Devi. Okay. So she was, basically she was some kind of government helper. Okay, there's some very small post. They give some money to them. So Rahim sir, can you hear me? Right. Okay. So basically, there is a concept of child marriage in India. In a lot of places, child marriages happen. So the latest law right now is that women should be 18 years and men should be 21 years. For your information, 2-3 days back, some news came that the union government is thinking of increasing the age of marriage for women. Maybe it is quite possible from 18 to 21 can also be done. It is quite possible. So that is there, but it was different in India. The law was different many years back. If you go about 1 century back, it was about 12 years. Okay. So if you look at, I have seen some debates, I've read about that in the parliament, even before independence, there were debates in the, Indian Council or Parliament. They said they wanted to increase from 12 to 14 years. So Indians were protesting against the, that increasing of age. Anyways, other than that, child marriage is considered to be an offense in India, but in many villages it happens. So there is a government, volunteer. That lady was trying to stop a marriage in a village, and those people were the big people of that village. So later on, what happened is those people have, raped her. They have, beaten her. They have did very, very wrong things to her. This happened about in 1988, if I'm recalling it rightly. So the fact of the case is that she went, their list of things happened in that village. Number one thing, she went and filed the case. Okay, I'm telling you because it is a very important case. Okay, we have to look at the horrible condition we are living in India. That particular woman was told to give the clothes which she brought to the police station and go from that police station. Can you imagine? They said that this is the proof. Your dress, your clothes is the proof of the rape offense. So remove your clothes now and go from here. This was officially said to her. And next thing is that how villages have their own politics. The people in the village said they will boycott them. They will ask them to go and stay out of the village if they are filing the case against that top people, big people in the village. Actually, they were removed, and her husband has supported her for a very long time. They went out of the village. Okay, in Telugu they say bahishkarana, and boycott. English we say boycott. I think in Hindi also they say bahishkar. So the point is they were made to live outside of their village, and finally she got support from husband and she filed a case, and the case went on. One important point to be noted is that till the Nirbhaya case, till December 2012, still the culprits in her case were roaming around free. The case was going on in appeals from lower court to high court to some court. Okay, so that is Bhavari Devi case. It was a very, or Banwari Devi, both kind of pronunciation are there if I'm recalling it right. So the point is, Nirbhaya case happened, everyone got up and they were candlelight march, everyone was going on streets and basically some media channels were highlighting that issue. And in that Manu Sharma case also, if you remember, there was one model come worker, she was working in a restaurant and one son of a big politician had asked for alcohol and the alcohol counter was closed. So he shot that lady and that case was, suppressed because that person was from the ruling party. But media people had raised that, if I'm recalling it rightly, Barkha Dutt and other people from NDTV, raised that issue. Much hangama, much hallabu, much drama was, tamasha was done. Only then the government acted and Manu Sharma was convicted. Recently, he was let off, it seems. He has also completed his punishment, it seems. The news is coming. Or he was sent on parole. As far as I remember, his term is also, jail term is also over, if I am recalling it rightly. So, conditions are very terrible in India. That's the reason some urgent action had to be taken in 2013 actually. So I'm just sharing this information so that you know a bit of the society and bit of the legal updates. 326 is talking about voluntarily causing grievous hurt by use of acid. So this is very popular. People throw acids on each other and while fighting. Mostly it happens in some eve teasing cases where harassment cases of women. Let us see what it is. Whoever causes permanent or partial damage or deformity to or burns or maims or disfigures or disables any part of body of a person, he causes grievous hurt by throwing acid or administering that person or by using any means with the intention of causing with the knowledge that he is likely to cause such hurt or injury shall be punished with imprisonment which shall not be less than 10 years but may extend to life imprisonment and with fine, provided that such fine shall be just and reasonable to meet the medical expenses of treatment of victim. Provided further that any fine imposed by this section shall be paid to the victim. So here the word girl is not given, woman is not given, but this is very popular in India. Okay? No, preminchakapote nee meeda acid posestanu. I will throw acid on you.
Warangal mein ho.
Many cases, sir. Many cases. Warangal, okay. I have not followed that case. If you don't love me, I will throw acid on you. What kind of love is that? Okay. So there are extreme examples in India. Okay. Let me give you one more extreme example of love in India. Taj Mahal was built by Shah Jahan, and why was it built? Okay, I'm sorry, I have a lot of humorous, funny stories in this. Taj Mahal was built because he loved his wife and wife died. And how did the wife die? Is that she was giving birth to the 13th or 14th child, it seems. I don't know what else was left so far, he wanted to build such a, big structure. So we have extreme examples. So what can I say? So also a question is, if you are forcing someone, you're threatening someone with dire consequences, and then you're expecting the other person to like you or love you, then this is a problem with the mentality of the person. Okay, so I think this is used popularly in cases of eve teasing and harassment, and such a law was necessary, I believe. This is about 326. Let us go to the next one. Okay, 326B is also there. 326B is saying what? Voluntarily throwing or attempting to throw acid. Whoever throws or attempts to throw acid on a person, to administer acid so and so, and he causes damage, deformity, disfigurement, maiming, shall be punishment with a jail term which is not less than 5 years, but which may extend to 7 years. So basically minimum is 5, maximum is 7 years. So the range is given here and shall also be liable to fine. Basically this is like an attempt. Okay. This is throwing and this is attempt. Okay. This is throwing and this is attempt. In the previous section 326A, already that hurt is caused. The damage is caused. But 326B is talking about attempting to do that. So if even someone is caught in trying to do that, then that will be considered as an offense. Some more definitions are given, explanation. I'll not go into that. Let us go forward. Okay. 339, 340, very important sections, very very much repeatedly asked in multiple question papers. What is wrongful restraint and what wrongful confinement? Okay, please listen carefully. The section says whoever voluntarily obstructs any person to prevent a person from proceeding in any direction in that right has in which that person has a right to proceed is said wrongfully to restrain the person. What is confinement? Whoever wrongfully restrains any person in such a manner as to prevent that person from proceeding beyond certain circumscribing limits is said to wrongfully confine that person. Okay. Okay. A very popular, very important question, friends. So the point is that number one thing is wrongful restraint is, let's say a person is standing somewhere. Okay, a person is standing somewhere. So, and the other person, 1, 2, 3, whoever is there, they are not allowing that person to move at all. They are not allowing them to move at all. Then that is wrongful restraint. That is not allowing to move in any way. You may have seen in TV, films and real life also. Sometimes they put this hand on the wall and they don't allow people to move, right? So in videos or in real time also you have seen people don't allow. So if a person is allowed to move at certain place, he should be allowed to move. Okay, so that if you're restraining, stopping someone, then that is called as wrongful restraint. What is wrongful confinement? Confine means to create some borders, to create some boxes, and you're confining, you're limiting someone. What are the examples of wrongful confinement is that, let's say there is a room, you're putting a person in that room and you're locking that room. And you're not allowing that person to go anywhere out of that room. That can be considered wrongful confinement. Let's say there is a big house, you're putting that person in that house and you're not allowing them to go beyond that house. Okay, that is also wrongful confinement. So confinement means it is the space is more. You can stay in that circumscribing limit. The words have been given, circumscribing limit. Some limits are there. In that limit, you can stay, live, whatever you do. So that is the definition of wrongful confinement. What are the punishments for this both? For wrongful restraint, the jail term is up to 1 year, 1 month, or with fine. So the point is, for wrongful restraint, the jail is up to 1 month, or fine which may extend to 500 rupees. Next thing is wrongful confinement. Whoever wrongfully confines any person shall be, imprisoned for a term which may extend to 1 year or with fine up to 1,000 rupees.
This can be applicable in cases like kidnaps and all that, right?
Kidnap is, kidnapping and abduction is a separate case. It is a separate case. You're taking away someone. You're taking away someone from lawful place against their wish. That kidnapping and abduction are two type of offenses which you're suggesting, but this is different.
Mm-hmm.
This can be like, let's say you're in an office. Okay, you're in an office and someone is putting the lock, and from morning till evening they are putting you inside that and they are not allowing to move out, or maybe for 2 days or 1 day. So the person has not kidnapped you or some ex-person. Okay, he's putting them in the office room or they're locking them in. So this is wrongful confinement.
Okay.
Can we get an example of wrongful confinement, please?
I'm sorry.
Can I get an example of wrongful confinement?
I just gave an example. Let's say there is an employee who is working in a company. It is at certain location. The company is at certain location. They are locking that employee in that room, maybe for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. That is wrongful confinement. They are closing the company. Let's say the company is on 1,000 yards. It's a big building structure, right? They are putting him inside and locking the door and going away. That is wrongful confinement.
I'm sorry. I was just talking about restraint, wrongful restraint.
Wrongful restraint is, let's say you are in a classroom, okay? Let's say I'm your classmate, or we have two, three friends. You're sitting on a bench and we are doing a gherao. Gherao means making a circle, encircling you, and we are saying that we will not allow you to go. So you're just sitting there, you are unable to move. If you get up, we are putting our hands and we are stopping you. That is wrongful restraint. That is one possibility. Let's say you're sitting at one, you're standing at one place. We are putting our hands and we are not allowing you to go. That is wrongful restraint. So wrongful restraint is a smaller punishment, is a smaller offense and has smaller punishment. Wrongful confinement is a bigger offense and has bigger punishment. That is up to 1 year jail is there, or fine, which is up to 1,000 rupees. This is very popular question. It comes in many papers. Let us go to, okay, assault. Whoever makes any gesture or any preparation intending to, knowing to likely that such gesture or preparation will cause any person present to apprehend that he who makes that gesture or preparation to use criminal force is said to commit an assault. Okay, mere words do not amount to an assault, but the words which a person may use give his gestures or preparation which may gestures. Okay, assault is used in a different way in different countries, guys. It is very important to be good, understanding good English vocabulary. Assault in a popular term outside is someone who is trying to attack you or someone who has also beaten you. That is popularly called as assault. But here in IPC, assault is referring to a kind of attacking gesture. And there should be no beating, but it's just like, you're threatening someone, like, you have the people do with punching or, trying to slap or, running towards you as if they're trying to beat you. That gesture should be there. That kind of things, if it is being shown, so then that can be considered assault. So now he's saying mere words do not amount to an assault. Basically, so if you say I will beat you up in a very plain tone, that might not turn out to be assault. Okay, let us see one example. A shakes his fist at Z, intending or knowing that it's likely that he may cause Z to believe that A is about to strike Z. A has committed an assault. I have said the example just now. Someone who is showing the punch, okay, he's showing the punch or showing the hand that is going to beat them. This can be considered as an assault. So it is amazing to know that law is also working in this smallest kind of things. Now we may say that, the other person has not been hurt, but the law says even if you threaten someone with your gestures, this is 351 assault. So what is the punishment for assault or criminal force? Criminal force is given earlier. Let me, if possible, see what is criminal force. Whoever intentionally uses force to any person without that person's consent in order to the committing of any offense or intending to use of such force, or knowing it that it likely that by use of such force it will cause injury, fear or annoyance to that person whom the force is used, is said to use criminal force to do that. Okay, basically one example I can give of criminal force is you're pushing someone. Okay, you're pushing someone, or you're putting some force, you're pressurizing someone in certain way that is causing fear, annoyance or things like that. Then that kind of thing can be said to be criminal force. I don't want to go into the illustrations. So 350 is talking about criminal force. We have seen 351 in we have seen 351 assault. So now 352 is talking about both, punishment for both. He's saying whoever assaults or uses criminal force to a person other than on grave and sudden provocation shall be punished with imprisonment which may extend to 3 months or with fine. Okay, simply speaking, up to 3 months jail or fine. So there is some freedom here that, you know, fine can also be paid, or, you know, and the fine amount is up to 500 rupees. The point is that here he is saying otherwise than grave and sudden provocation. What do you mean by this? Otherwise than on grave and sudden provocation is, see, we had seen earlier about you know, some things about private defense. If I am recalling it rightly, let me tell it in a simple way. Every person has a right to defend himself. Okay, about his life, his body, and his property, whether it is movable or immovable. If someone is trying to hurt you on your body, on your life, on your movable property or immovable property, you can stop them from doing that, or you may take some strong measures. You may even beat them if you can prove that, you know, such other person was trying to deprive you of your belongings, your own wealth, that is your body or your you know, life. You can show that as a private defense, that is there in law. The point is, other than defense, other than on grave and sudden provocation, sudden provocation is used in certain contexts where there are some fights, okay, at that some particular point. So both persons will have that provocation. One will start, other will respond, and there will be some dispute, some altercation, you know, some fight between them. So here it is mainly that, you know, the person is doing voluntarily, out of the way. There is nothing, you know, instigation is not there. Let us go ahead. Okay, 354A. 354A is brought from 2013, you can say, inserted by section 7 of 213. What is 354A? Sexual harassment and punishment for sexual harassment. Basically, a man committing any following acts, that is physical contact and advances involving unwelcome and explicit sexual overtones, or a demand or request for sexual favors, or showing pornography against the will of a woman, or making sexually colored comments, shall be guilty of offense of sexual harassment. So basically 354A is mainly an offense by men towards women. So this is made for the protection of women, that this will deter, this will prevent, this will avoid. What this will avoid? What do you call eve teasing, or you can say harassment. What are those things? Physical contacts, coming and touching, and advances involving unwelcome and explicit sexual overtures. Basically, you're showing symbols. You're trying to show that you know, relationship, you know, kind of thing. You're showing, you're touching, trying to touch them. You're demanding for favors. You're showing you know, pornographic things, immodest things, or you're making bad you know, remarks, sexually bad remarks. These are all constituting the offense of 354A. This is a very strong section. From the last 7 years or so, it's being used a lot. So let's move forward and see some more subsections of that. Any man who has committed anything from clause 1 to 2 to 3, 4 shall be punished with rigorous imprisonment, which may extend to 3 years, or with fine, or with both. Basically, they will be punished for rigorous imprisonment, which is up to 3 years, or with fine, or with both. Okay. So third thing is, a man who commits the offense specified in clause 4 shall be punished with imprisonment, which may extend to 1 year, or with fine, or with both. Okay. Basically, to make it simple, we have to see that in 354A, there have been 2 categories. First category, you have first beat, second beat, third beat in the first subsection. They are considered very wrong, very harmful. For that, they are giving about 3 years of jail. Okay, the law is giving up to 3 years jail or fine. But the jail, if it is being given, it is rigorous. Rigorous is harsher than simple imprisonment. There is very hard work being done in the jail. Third subsection is talking about only the fourth bit of the first subsection. Making sexually colored remarks. You are passing comments. Okay, some sexually related comments, I believe, is to be given up to 1 year jail. 1 year jail or fine, or with both. It will depend upon the judge. So let us go further to 354B. Please give me a break.
Yeah.
Thank you. 354A, 354B, 354C, 354D, all are for the protection of women. 354B, assault or criminal force to woman with intent to disrobe. What is robe? Robe is cloth. Robing is clothing. Disrobing is to remove the clothes. So someone trying to, by their force to remove the clothes of a woman, I'll make it short. This is punishable with a jail term from 3 years to 7 years. Minimum 3 years, maximum 7 years, and fine is compulsory there. Plus fine. There is no choice. Let's go to voyeurism. Okay. Basically, voyeurism is, okay, in a simple terms, I can say is that a woman is having her own privacy. A woman is having her own privacy, and whatever she is doing in her private, matters, someone is trying to take the photos or images of that woman, and they are disseminating such images. You may have heard this. Some person is there. They are trying to take photos or videos by what do you say? Without permission is there. Sometimes with permission it is taken, but later on the woman may not like that photos or videos to come online. They go and disseminate that. Okay, disseminate such images. So if they do these kind of things, the first time the punishment is 1 year jail, 1 to 3 years, minimum 1 to 3 years, plus fine. That is, if they do it first time, minimum 1 year to 3 years jail is there. And the next is that from 3 years to 7 years, the next time. That is the second time. So this is trying to what do you call, discourage offenders. This is trying to discourage offenders. But unfortunately, when these offenders, when they go to jail only, they will get to know that what is the punishment. Generally, law is not so general that everyone is educating about law. But it is very much important to know something about law before doing any action, so that long time injury to their self, their families, and all those things can be prevented. Chalo, let's go to the next one. Stalking. Okay, stalking is in simple way, someone is following a woman, trying to monitor her work, what she is doing, where she is going. That is called as stalking. Right now, stalking is also happening on the internet. People are checking out someone's account on Facebook, Instagram. They're doing multiple things, trying to show that they're following that woman. That is also there. Let us give a read to the section. Follows a woman, attempts to contact such woman to foster personal interaction repeatedly despite a clear indication of disinterest by such woman. Monitors the use by women of the internet, email, or electronic communication, provided that this shall not amount if the man who pursued proves that it was purpose for preventing, detecting crime pursued under law, particular was reasonable, justified. Okay. The general definition is following a woman and monitoring the activities of a woman, whatever she's doing, where she's going, and things like that. Following her with a intention to cause some personal relationship. There is an exception to that if the the words are not given here. It can be policeman. The point is about policemen. So if policemen or some authorities are doing the research, or sometimes there are some researchers working for policemen. So the statute is giving very generic words. Okay, what are those words? If you look here, it was pursued for detecting crime, pursued under any law, or which was reasonable and justified. So these are, what do you say, the provisos, or I would say these are the exceptions to the general meaning. I mean to say that if government authorities are monitoring, then it is okay. Next, let's go to the second subsection. Whoever commits offense of stalking shall be punished. Okay, so the punishment is for stalking, it is up to 3 years jail plus fine first time, and the next time it is up to 5 years jail and fine is compulsory given. So here also the person who does it once without understanding is given a chance that still if he does it again, first time smaller punishment is there, next time bigger punishment is there. Okay. Okay, now the word kidnapping has come. Of kidnapping, abduction, slavery, and forced labor. Miss Neeraja was asking about this. So let us see. Kidnapping is of two kinds: kidnapping from India and kidnapping from lawful guardianship. Kidnapping from India, whoever conveys any person beyond the limits of India without consent of that person or of some person legally authorized to consent on behalf of that person is said to kidnap from India. Basically, 360 is saying taking someone outside of India without their permission or their guardian's permission. Kidnapping from lawful guardianship, whoever takes or entices any minor under 16 years of age, if male, or under 18, if it's a female, or any person of unsound mind, out of keeping of lawful guardian of such minor or person of unsound mind without consent of such guardian is said to kidnap. Okay, one male boy less than 16 years, female, okay, male boy is like male only, so it's a redundant thing. So there is a man who is less than 16 and a woman who is less than 18, or there is an insane person. For these three categories of people, if someone is taking away from their guardian without permission, and such thing can be considered as kidnapping from lawful guardianship. 361. 362 is abduction. Okay. Abduction. What is abduction? Abduction, whoever by force, compels, or by deceitful means induces any person to go from one place is said to abduct that person. So it can be by force or it can be by deceitful means. There are two important things. Okay. It can be by force or by deceitful means. Force is you're forcing someone that they should come with you, or by deceit is you're saying some stories. You're giving some dhoka, some kind of falsehood. So that is abduction. Next, punishment for kidnapping. Whoever kidnaps any person from India from lawful guardianship will be shall be punished with imprisonment, which may extend to 7 years, and also liable to fine. Basically, someone who is doing these two things, we had seen 350, 1 second please, 359 and 360. For both these wrongs, up to 7 years jail is there and fine is compulsory there. Or 363A has been brought by insertion. This is not so important. Let me go. Okay. 364, kidnapping or abducting in order to murder. Okay. Whoever kidnaps or abducts any person so that they may murder or may be so disposed of as to put in danger of being murdered shall be punished with rigorous imprisonment up to 10 years. This is not so important. Let me see. Kidnapping for ransom. Abducting, procurement of minor. Okay. Importation of girl from foreign country. Kidnapping or to person to grievous hurt, slavery. Concealing, trafficking. Okay. In terms of, I'm just looking from the perspective of AIB, I don't think much of these are usually asked. 370, habitual to buying manners of 73. Okay. Important case 375, 376. 375. Are you guys following what I'm saying so far?
Yeah.
Rahim sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ghaffar, Mr. Ghaffar, are you following? Abdul Ghaffar. Okay. Let's move on. This is a very important section. Section 375 is talking about rape. So this is the definition. 375 rape is given here. Punishment for rape is also given. 375 is very explicit. I believe all of you are adults here. So basically it's about penetrating, a man is penetrating his private part into the private parts of a woman, the penis into the vagina, in the mouth, or, urethra, anus, all the, body parts where, if the man does that, that is considered. If he's doing, inserting any objects into the, body, even if it's not his own personal private part, then, that can be done to the body of a woman. Insertion is done, and some kind of manipulation is also there. So there are many other detailed things. They're very explicit as of now. I don't want to repeat much of that. So these kind of activities, that is, any kind of physical, action is being done against her. Okay, so this will be constituted as rape. Please look at the definition, section 375. The thing is, there are some important things to be seen. First, it is done against her will. Okay. Second is without her consent. Okay, it is done without her consent. Third is without her consent, when her consent has been obtained by putting her in whom she is interested, in fear of death or of hurt. Okay. Fourth, with her consent, when the man knows that he is not her husband and that her consent is given because she believes he is another man to whom she is or believes herself to be lawfully married. Okay, see, all these sections will look very funny, very strange, but in real life many circumstances happen like that. So if I take the first example, against her will is someone is forcing her. Second is without her consent. This is very important thing. Let's say there is a man and woman. There is a man and woman who are in some kind of friendship. Okay, because they are so close, the person is assuming that he can have a physical relationship with that woman. It is quite possible, if you guys can please focus, they might be having some experience of doing such action. Okay, some physically intimate action. The point is, at that particular instance, the woman may not give her consent. She's not accepting that this is a time where she is wanting to have physical intimacy with that man. The point which I have highlighted here will come under that. She's not given her consent. Third is with her consent, which is gotten through fear of that. That is, you're putting knife, or putting a gun, or you're threatening her by some way. Later on, you're saying, oh, that person has actually, the woman has given me the consent. That is not rightful. This is illegal. This is wrongful consent. Fourth is about manipulating. How can that be done? That is quite possible that after marriage someone is trying to impersonate. Okay, sometimes the looks are there. Someone who looks similar, that is also possible. Sometimes some people get married. They come to a house and they are unable to see their faces. That is some darkness is there. Fourth one is a very important point. This looks funny, but I'm trying to create some situations out of that. I believe more examples might be found. Fifth is what? Fifth is with her consent when at time of giving, by reason of unsoundness of mind, by or administration by him personally through anything of a stupefying unwholesome substance which is unable. Okay, the fifth point is very simple. The victim is a mental patient, or the person is mentally weak, unsoundness, insane mind, or intoxication. Okay, intoxication is out of their senses. Their mind is not working, voluntarily or involuntarily. Let's say some woman is drunk, or sometimes some drugs are being put in her drink, or some food. So she's getting what do you call intoxicated. She's losing her consciousness. That is possible. Next, sixth one, with or without her consent when she is under 18 years of age. Okay, if some woman is under 18, okay, if she's 17 years also, 16 years also, if a boy and girl are having a physical intimate relationship, okay, according to the definition of this section, I am saying with or without her consent. This sixth definition is very dangerous. You may have heard about this boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. If the boy and girl are like 17 and 17, or the girl is 17, the boy can be, you know, booked under 375. That is very dangerous, very dangerous. Next, seventhly, when she is unable to communicate consent. Okay, maybe the girl is deaf, she's unable to speak. Okay, she's unable to speak, she's blind, or, you know, I don't know. There can be many examples. If we see more of the case laws, we will get to see what are the things in that. Next, 376 is punishment for rape. Whoever, except in the cases provided in subsection 2, commits rape. Okay, what is subsection 2? Let us see subsection 2. I can't see subsection. Acha, whoever in the cases provided in subsection 2 commits shall be punished with rigorous imprisonment, which shall not be less than 10 years, but which may extend to imprisonment and fine. Okay, for 375, someone who does 375, the punishment for that is minimum 10 years jail to life imprisonment, plus fine is also there. Next, if it is done by a police officer, okay, it is done by a police officer within the police station limits, in the premises of station house, or on a woman in a person's custody. This is A is there. Okay, in section 2 there are many subsections. Done by a police officer, done by a public servant, okay, on a woman in his custody, or, you know, being a member of armed force, being management of staff of a jail, you know, management in charge. Next, being management of staff of a hospital, okay, or it can be a women's or children's institution, or someone is the, you know, management of a, or on the staff who is working in the hospital. Next, someone is a relative, guardian, or teacher of a person in position of trust or authority towards the woman, commits rape on such woman. He has committed committed rape during. G is talking about communal or sectorial violence, that is there. Commits rape on a woman knowing her to be pregnant, that is there. Commits rape on a woman incapable of giving consent, being in position of control or dominance. Section K is given. This is happening in a lot of places where women are working and, you know, they are unable to give answer or give a resistance. All these sections are there. Commits rape on a woman suffering from mental or physical disability. Okay, if someone is insane, okay, that is also there. While committing rape causes grievously bodily harm or maims or disfigures or endangers the life. So they are hurting the life of the person very badly, and then commits rape repeatedly on the same woman. So, like, till N there are, you know, from, let us see, some section A, from section 2A to 2N, all these subsections are given. For these type of persons, rigorous imprisonment, that is harsh imprisonment, is there, which is 10 years to life imprisonment, and which means that basically life imprisonment is also very harsh, that the person will be in jail for very long time. So explanations are given, but I think this is enough as of now. Okay. Okay, what I will do is, I think we have had a very good session so far, but it's been 10:15. I don't want to, you know, disturb your sleep and other things. Let's stop it here, and let me know how you are following. Please give your small inputs and we will end the class. Yes, please go ahead.
I think the entire session was all about sections and all that. So quite a good examples were cited against each for a better understanding and to remember them also. It was, quite, understandable session with respect to the sections.
Thank you.
To write examples.
Thank you so much. Anyone wants to have any feedback? Should I close the session?
Yeah, very good session. got good examples, and you have chosen all the relative questions which will be asked in AIB exam, as well as any other important exams like judicial.
Thank you so much, and I'll end the session now. Thank you so much. Hopefully, we will try to take one more class wherein maybe we can finish all sections of IPC and maybe look at some other topic. We will try to start some other topics also. Hopefully, thank you so much for joining, and we will meet again in the coming sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night.